with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
You know, I didn't bury my chances when I had them, and you know, I think that was kind of the story of this round against Dallas, was we just didn't, you know, capitalize on the chances. Because you look at each game, there's moments within the game that, you know, if you score on this play, it changes the narrative and the rest of the game. And I just think, you know, again, me personally, I had a lot of those chances, and looking back on them, it's like, damn, like if I scored there, are we in a different spot or whatever? So I think, yeah, that's kind of big moments.
This is a serious question, Jim Toth. Does Gabriel Vilardi listen to Jets at Noon?
I was just going to ask you, like, that's the margin, right? And I know I have a lot of fun with the movie.
Because we've been saying that exact thing, well, because it's true. We've been saying it for days.
Not just against Dallas, Cam. Like, I keep bringing it up, but Game 3, they're up 2-0 in St. Louis. No, the series is up 2-0. They're tied 1-1. They go into the second period. Nemestikov has 2 glorious chances, and Perfetti has another one in the first 10 minutes. And if they score on, and this is what I'm saying, like, I don't see a glorious scoring chance and a guy doesn't bury it and I go, oh, that's the series. It's when I see 3 or 4 in a 10-minute span and you don't get one. Because in the playoffs, one makes the difference. I know I have a lot of fun with any given Sunday, but the inches you want are all around you. And it's the guy who is willing to fight and die for that inch. Not that these guys, the effort was there, I saw it.
Yeah.
But throughout the playoffs, the St. Louis series could have been different if they bury 1 or 2 of those and all of a sudden it's 3-1 and then you get a win in Game 3.
You want to talk about that, Jim? You want to talk about those inches being all around you? Here is Captain Adam Lowry talking about the tangible details just earlier this morning that they can take with them into the playoffs, into the future, touching on what you just said.
They say there's a change from, you know, the regular season to the playoffs, but I think when you look at certain things, you can maybe get away with a bad line change or, you know, a bad penalty in, you know, the course of 82 games, that it doesn't come back to haunt you, whereas, you know, icing the puck or, you know, missing a pass at an inopportune time in the playoffs, and, you know, that's the difference in the game where, you know, I think understanding the magnitude of games, the pressure that comes along with it, and, you know, I thought our team did a really good job of handling that pressure, you know, whether we were down in games or, you know, coming out and you've got 15,000 crazy people in white, you know, cheering for you, and you don't want to let them down.
That's Adam Lowry there speaking earlier today. And, yep, that's what it essentially boils down to, just the tiny, minute details, right? And as this playoffs go on, the margin for error shrinks. It starts off really, really small, but it gets into the minuscule territory as the series and playoffs go on. Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. The VIP take on the text line or the call. Hey, the phone lines are open. Tell us what you thought about the Winnipeg Jets, the playoffs, the season that was. We'll win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method. 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later on in the program. We're coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio, brought to you by Boston Pizza. Try the new Triple Pep Pizza only at Boston Pizza. We have a call. We already got a caller on the line here. Andy's calling in. Hey, Andy, what's up?
Andy?
Hey, how you doing, guys? Good. I just wanted to calling about the end of the season. Yeah, just to agree with you, Jim, about, you know, finding that one goal. Like, look who scored the first goal in Game 6 for Dallas, Sam Steele. We didn't have a Sam Steele moment there. Appleton missed that chance. We had other opportunities. You know, he's going to relive that for the rest of the offseason, and we just needed to find that one goal. I mean, we allowed 10 goals in 3 road games in Dallas. That's a lot, but we only scored 4, and you're not winning any road playoff game by only scoring 4 goals in 3 games.
You know, and we think of that Dallas game. Iafallo makes that play out to Connor, and Ottinger makes that great pad save. And so say he buries that. They then have a face-off. They then take the penalty, and then Connor has a breakaway on the penalty kill like he did, and he buries that. All of a sudden, it's 3-1. It's game over.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to leave you guys with this. Tavares for 3 years at $7 million. What are your thoughts about that for next year?
I don't.
He's on the market.
I don't hate that, Andy.
Andy, on a Wednesday, and we give you romance at Wash Method. I'll tell you right now, that is a sexy question.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Andy.
Look.
Have a good day, guys.
And do you want a car wash?
Absolutely.
There you go.
I got one before, but I'll take another one.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Has it been 30 days, Andy?
Yes, it has.
Okay, then perfect.
And you got to wash your car more.
Yeah, I pop you on hold there. If you're coming out with stuff like that, I mean, this is about the Winnipeg Jets offseason. Hey, Tavares, I mean, is that a guy that they could pull from Toronto? I think he's going to stay a Leaf. That's my opinion on it.
To me,
I'm often wrong.
Tavares has a Stamkos Tampa Bay feel to it. He
still wants a cup, Jim.
He wants to be there. He does not want to go somewhere else. Somebody else will pay him more than the Leafs probably will. But he wants to stay. But what are the Leafs willing to pay for it? You have to give him $5 million, no?
At least.
You cannot go 3, right? You cannot do the Jamie Benn, here's $3 million, stay on our third line. So I don't mind it, actually, but I don't know if he would do I don't think he's coming to Winnipeg, to be honest with you. But
but if he said I'm open to it, would you take a swing at him?
I would take a swing at it even if he says I'm not open to it. I'd say, how do you feel if you know the Leafs are going to offer him 3 years at 5? I would say, John, how do you feel about 2 years at 7? And you play in our top 6.
Yeah, and hey, 74 points last year, 38 goals, almost a point per game. Short.
It all depends about Ehlers. I know we're going to get into this. So today we're going to take your calls and texts. We'll talk about whatever you want. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the contracts and what might change. And then Friday we're going to do a real free-for-all Friday and what you think might change. But I don't mind the idea of Tavares because I think at 38 goals and 74 points, they need that production in the second line center, but I think it comes at the cost of Ehlers.
This just coming down the pipe, too. This from Mitchell Clinton. Kevin Cheveldayoff and Scott O'Neill were scheduled to speak at 1 and 1:30 today. That changed. They moved it up. I don't know for sure, but I'm curious if it has anything to do with the flight to the Kitchener-Waterloo area to attend Brad Scheifele's funeral. It may or may not. I'm not sure, but they both met the media for their year-end conversations together. But Kevin Cheveldayoff did say this. He said he met with Nikolaj Ehlers' agent for about 2 hours on an off day while the agent was in town, saying, quote, "We'll put our best foot forward with him." That from Mitchell Clinton, play-by-play boy, color analyst here on 680 CJOB.
So throughout the year, we've been talking about Ehlers.
Yeah.
And I go to the odd game, not as many as I used to. I tried to, but with kids and all that. But when you're there, you run into people and you see scouts and you talk to opposing teams and a lot of people in the organization that you know and stuff. I was told around Christmas time, do what you want, but I wouldn't bang the Ehlers extension drum too hard because I don't know if that's going to happen.
Now,
it's not going to happen. They're not talking this. There's no more insight than that. It just I don't know if. And I think around then they were understanding the cap wasn't going up, and they were kind of looking at what we might need to change. And we do this on the show. A lot of listeners go, they need to be bigger. They need to be more physical in the top 6. They need this. And I think it was just around that. I was like, what do you think of this? And I go, well, do what you want. And jokingly do what you want at your guys' show.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't bang the drum too
Now,
hard.
saying that as well, just before you continue, just to put some more stuff here on the table, we had David Pagnotta on this show several times. I don't know if there's anybody that's a more beat on the player side of the business than him. He said that Nikolaj Ehlers several times was not looking for a trade, wanted to come here and play his final year with the Winnipeg Jets, but was not at that moment seriously considering staying in Winnipeg and was going to look for somewhere else. Leah Hextall from ESPN said something very, very similar. She said that 2 or 3 years ago, that she had an inside source that had said to her that there was no interest with moving forward, that Nikolaj Ehlers was not going to request a trade, but beyond his contract, which is again set to expire on July 1st with the Winnipeg Jets, that he was going to stick around.
So, and just to add to that, I think Pagnotta also on a different show told us, and maybe it was mine around the, I don't know, but he said, I remember Pagnotta saying he's not wanting out and he doesn't want to go anywhere, but he also understands that if it does happen, he would welcome a change of scenery. Like
Correct.
It wouldn't be like, oh,
Correct.
this is devastating. I can't believe they didn't. He'd be like, fine, I'm okay. So, and then let's go back to the training camp when Nick Ehlers said at training camp, it's not just about money. They have to want me.
Mm-hmm.
And not like diva, like they have to want me, but just like I've been here a long time, like everybody else. Morrissey, Lowry, Hellebuck, Connor, Scheifele, and you know, the team wanted them to stay and made proper pitches. He's like, so I take from that is like, it's not all about the money. So if he could get 8 on the market, I don't think he's sitting here going, you got to give me 8 or 8.5. I think he's saying, if you give me 7 for 6 years, it shows you want me, then yes, I want to be here. I think what he was referencing is, do not offer me 5 years at $6 million or 5.5, because that's not wanting me. And I'm just reading between the lines. That's my guess. So, and then we have this text here, which is Kevin says, why would Ehlers stay 8th in ice time? He was 7th at 5-on-5 ice time in the league, or in the playoffs for the Jets. He was the 7th ice time at 5-on-5 in the playoffs for forwards. Now, I will say this, though. He's not killing penalties. He's on the number 1 unit. And then you roll your lines and what you're doing. So, and a lot of times he also got absolutely crushed by Mason Marchman. And then I think we did this yesterday, right? Like Appleton in game 6 had more ice time, but they had 1 less shift than each other. And Ehlers takes shorter shifts. He's a lot quicker. And also, he doesn't kill penalties. So I don't look at, I'm sorry, listeners, and anybody else, stop looking at ice time. Look at shifts and shift lengths. Because Appleton had 1 more than Ehlers.
Ehlers had 1 more shift than Appleton.
Ehlers played 1 more shift in the game than Appleton.
Ehlers had 21 shifts and Appleton had 20.
So stop looking at ice time. Because if Appleton gets caught out there and can't get off, or Ehlers makes a nice play and takes a short shift, you look at the ice time, it's not indicative. Don't sit here and go, how can Appleton get more ice time than Ehlers? He didn't. He got 1 less shift.
Look at where they also start. Look at offensive and defensive zone starts.
Yes.
Like Appleton's line is more about go out, grind out, get on the forecheck, or get the puck back in defensive zones. A lot of more opportunities. They get hemmed in the defensive zone, and they're put in that opportunity for a reason. And they're also in on the forecheck to get the cycle going so that the first and second line can come out there and get an actual legitimate scoring chance. That's what they're out there for. So we have to go to break, but the conversation about Ehlers' ice time is so it's
stop
tiring.
Looking at ice time.
It's so tiring because there's no context added to it. You're just looking at ice time and going, "Wow, he's getting less ice time than everybody else," but he's getting more shifts. On average, he got 2 less shifts a game than Kyle Connor throughout the year. But Kyle Connor takes way longer shifts. That's a conversation. Kyle Connor probably takes too long of shifts. Mark Scheifele probably takes too long of shifts. They should probably take shift lengths closer to the amount that Nikolaj Ehlers does. It's not. Look at the shifts. Do not talk about. I'm so tired of this conversation.
And one final note on that. And people think
because it's there's no context attached to it.
People think this is silly, but it's not. Both Ehlers and Connor can get to the bench faster. They're faster skaters, so they can get on, get off. And if Appleton gets on and the Lowry line gets hemmed in, then so stop looking at ice time. Look at shifts and scenarios.
So Kevin, I appreciate the text message. It's a great conversation. It's a great thing to bring up.
We'll go back to it, Kevin, because it's a point we have to.
And if I still had the car wash, I would give it to you. We'll be right back.
With Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Welcome back. If you are on the line, do not go anywhere. We will get to your calls on the other side.
I do want to make a quick note about Ehlers. Now I did the counterpart is don't look at shift time. It's fair to look at usage and all that, but what I would look at it is fair for Ehlers to go, I want to be on a top line. I understand that after 8 years, you would want to maximize your career and go, I want to be on a top line, and he won't be here. Mm-hmm. Now, especially with Vilardi, and that was the top scoring line in the National Hockey League in the regular season last year. So I would understand if Ehlers said, so that's how, and you can't pay him 8 or 9 to be on the second line. It's got to be around 7, right? And so there has to be a marriage there. They both have to want it. But to defend Ehlers a bit, I could understand if at this point in his career, he's like, I do want to play more. I do want to be on a top line.
Call the Boston Pizza Jets at Noon hotline, open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Brought to you by Boston Pizza. Dig into the new Triple Pep Pizza and the Double Trouble Nachos available now only at Boston Pizza. The number one caller on Friday will be awarded a $50 gift card to Boston Pizza. Your calls, your conversation with us next.
It's still pretty fresh from us losing that. I mean, the appetite is always there to improve. I feel like as soon as you settle, you're done for. So I think, as soon as you lose in any particular fashion, first round, second round, don't make the playoffs, like your first week, you're just mad at everything. Like you're just like, oh my God, like mad at the world. Like, it's a sunny day. You're like, it's too sunny. It's just, you know what I mean? Like you're grumpy. You're mad. You want to play. Like that's how it is. And then, it settles and you deal with those emotions, and that drives you to strive to be better in the off season. So, I mean, I don't know if the hunger maybe changes exactly. I think maybe the desire because, we're right there, and, we felt like we had such a good season and a good playoff, and, so close with Dallas, and just off a little bit maybe on some timely goals or some execution and things like that where, it kind of, that's where it really swung in their favor, and we were right there with them.
Dylan DeMelo there, great quote. And the sun's just too sunny out there. You're just ticked off after you lose, and it's a pit in your stomach. Jets at noon, brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line and win a VIP car wash from my good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program. Coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio, brought to you by Boston Pizza. Try the new Triple Pep Pizza, only at Boston Pizza. We got to go to the phones here, Jim. Yep. We got some guys that have been waiting very long and very patiently. Hey, Julian. Hey, sorry I had to wait so long, bud. Thanks for popping on the show. What's up?
No, not too much. I just wanted to say that at the end of Game 6, the anxiety left, and I believe, and I'm totally looking forward to next season's playoffs.
Yeah. Do you think that this team can get back to the Western Conference Final and beyond?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the growth they got from the playoffs this year, they were a tight team all year, and I think I'm 57. I've seen a lot of teams go through the growth to make it to the playoffs and then to win the Stanley Cup, and they seem to have some of that recipe, in my opinion.
I don't think anybody can, after what we saw in Game 6, Julian and Jim, maybe you can touch on this too as well. I don't think there's any talk about locker room of what we heard from the last 3 years. Like, these guys are together, they are family, and that was on full display.
Yeah, I mean, that was more than obvious.
Yeah.
And I think that I agree. There's growth there, and people ask me what's the difference. Well, I agree with them.
Julian, I'm going to pop you on hold. We're getting some background noise, but I appreciate the phone call.
Julian, I agree with him. I think there's growth there, and then that's the next step, right? Like, I love what they said yesterday, too, Morrissey and them, where they said, we needed to work on some things last year and get better at, and we did. We worked on the power play, we worked on this, we got better at that and that. Mm-hmm. They were gamers this year, right? They did some phenomenal things, and then it fell short in the playoffs again. The next step is what we just talked about at the start, was that inch of getting that inch of burying those opportunities and making the most of those and getting comfortable in the fight that is the playoffs. And that's what I think they'll work on this summer. So there's work to be done. I'm glad to hear they're going to do it, and I believe there was growth this year. Yeah, I mean, again, this is just talk, but listen, last year they said these things and they put it into action going into this season, and they took a huge step. So, we talk about, 10% better, all that sort of thing. If the Jets are there and they're driving each other the same way they drove each other last season, I don't see why this team couldn't get to the next level. Let's bring Jeff on the show. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, guys. Yeah, great show as usual.
Thanks, bud.
So I have to say, it was a great year, on the overall, but I mean, disappointing at the end. I have to agree with Jim that too many excuses. I think I called weeks ago during the St. Louis series, and I said, I don't like these open nets and you're missing it. I said, sooner or later that's going to come back and bite you. And then lo and behold, it does, so you can't be missing these chances or letting in weak goals and say, oh, golly, I'm sorry about that. I got to be better or whatever. You got to just like you're an MVP during the regular season. You got to be an MVP in the playoffs. You're even more so. I mean, you got to be at your absolute best. And there's too many excuses. The bottom line is too many excuses, and you're not going to win the Stanley Cup with all these excuses.
Well, I don't. The only thing I'll push back on you with is I don't hear any excuses. I hear. I look.
They're not making excuses. I'm saying you're not when you can't score in an open net. That is an excuse. You got to put that in. That puck's got to win that net. There's no two ways about it. Appleton has to put that puck in the net. Earlier in the series, Josh Morrissey missed an open net.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying.
You have to be putting these in the net. You have to bear down whatever it takes. And Hellebuyck's got it. You can't be letting these little floaters in and say, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to play well later in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was
these weak goals in.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to lead up the segment with that DeMelo, just talking about that's how Dallas got the edge. It was execution, and those goals go in. Those missed nets, that puck goes in the net, those games drastically change. Right?
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
So, I mean, that's the difference, right? I mean, a save, two more saves per game from Connor Hellebuyck, and the puck going into an open net. That's the difference between this team playing hockey tonight. And like I think the Jets certainly could have beat Dallas. That was a series they could have won.
Oh yeah.
But they didn't, and they have to listen. They have to learn from it. And that's the only way moving forward. They can't just go wallow here, wallow there, and that is so not the tone. That is so not the tone.
Oh, I know it's not. I'm saying ultimately, you can't be making excuses. You need results. You need results.
Okay, thanks.
I think that's the bottom line.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate the call.
I think it was a great year though, and there are lots to be thankful for. So.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. Yeah, take care. Take care. Let's go to Wilf. Hey, Wilf.
Hey, how's it going there?
Good. How are you?
Hey, Wilf.
Fine. Yeah, I just heard you guys talking about getting John Tavares here for whatever, 6, 7, 8 million, whatever, to be a second line or whatever. John Tavares would never, ever come to Winnipeg. Winnipeg is the dump, the crap hole city of the league that nobody wants to come to, these guys.
Is that how you feel? Do you think Winnipeg is a dump crap hole city?
I sure do.
Okay.
How come none of the free agents ever want to come here? Like at the trade.
So Connor Hellebuyck re-signs here. Mark Scheifele re-signs here. Right. Josh Morrissey re-signs here. I mean, we're going to see Kyle Connor, I think, very early on in the summer. He's going to re-sign here.
Can I counter your?
I don't think Connor's going to re-sign here.
You think Kyle Connor's going to leave? You really? I don't agree with that at all, Wilf. I don't.
Hey, Wilf, can I?
At free agent time, why can't we get free agents? Last year at the trade deadline, we got Monahan and that other guy, 2 forwards. What happened at the end of the year? Monahan went to Columbus. The other guy went to the Sharks. And those are 2 bottom-of-the-barrel teams. Why did they go there? Because those are desirable places to...
No. Monahan...
Anywhere in California is a great place to play, or Florida, or Dallas, or Vegas, or Nashville. They're all sexy cities.
Wilf, do you want some answers to your questions?
Sure.
How many Leafs players want out of Toronto right now?
Probably a few of them, but none of them will come Winnipeg.
Fair enough, but San Jose?
I don't know how many guys want out of there, but...
Well, not out of there, but there's only so many teams with desirable destinations, right? So I agree with you, Wilf, that Tavares isn't coming here. He's not going to... But think about this, though. He's 2 hours from his Toronto home if Toronto doesn't want to pay him, and if the Jets do want to pay him $3 million more a year than anybody else does, he'll consider it. Yeah, because you know what, John. I agree with you on the. I don't agree with you on the city. I agree with you on the attraction of players to the city. But I'll say this to you, Wilf. What does John Tavares want more than being a Toronto Maple Leaf? Stanley Cup.
He wants a cup.
Why did you brought up Toffoli? Toffoli's going to live life in California because his wife is from there, and he has a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Sean Monahan went to play with his best friend in Columbus for $1 million more a year for an extra year.
Yeah, but he passed away.
Yes, but he went for more money in term.
But he'd already signed the contract.
Than the Jets
want
to do it. I agree with you. You're not going to sit here and give me a list of the top 10 free agents, and I will tell you all 10 of those guys will not consider Winnipeg. But after that top 10, when the other teams are at the cap, players want to win.
Right.
And John Tavares is not a number 1 line center in this league anymore.
No, I agree.
He's an old second line center that wants to win. So I think you make a run at him.
And Wilf, I would urge you to go on to YouTube and watch a video of Connor Hellebuyck going through ice fishing with Alex Iafallo, Kyle Connor's there, Cole Perfetti, and there's a team of them. They go out to the ice, they go fishing together. And now, listen, that is not for every single player in the National Hockey League. Every player makes their own individual decision as to where they want to play, their reasons. And you know what? Whatever reasons that they are, they're never wrong because they can control their own destiny. But a certain player, and the Winnipeg Jets, once they get those players here, Neil Pionk just re-signed. Alex Iafallo came from Los Angeles. He re-signed. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Neil Pionk was in New York. I know he's from the Duluth area, but which is not far from here.
Gabe Vilardi is likely going to re-sign.
Yeah, but they're going to re-sign Dylan Sandberg. So once you come here, they have a very good track record of keeping their players. And so if you're going to say it's the crap hole of the league and a dump and all that stuff, I don't think that's a fair comment, Wilf. I really don't. A certain player comes here and wants to be a part of the Winnipeg Jets. And you characterizing the city like that, I don't think that that's fair. Is it an attractive place for the vast majority of free agents? No. But once the players come here, they understand what Winnipeg's about. They understand the advantages of playing in a place like this. They stick around. So
once they come here. But also, do you think Sandberg is going to re-sign with the Jets?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do. I think
certainly do.
I think he's going to sign long term.
So my point is, when these guys come here and they play here, well, now their wife or their kids, they got to come be in Winnipeg, in Winterpeg, for 5 months of the year and deal with 20 below, 30 below, and with our bombed out streets here. And a lot of them don't like it. They don't want to be in Winterpeg for 5 months of winter when their husband is traveling the continent playing hockey in summer in beautiful places.
It's a fair point. Some don't, but not all of them.
Yeah, the players on the road and they're getting out of here. But
Wilf, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Wilf.
Okay, I'll let you
the opposite point of that. You're right. Some spouses don't.
Right.
You're not incorrect, but not all of them.
Right.
And here's the thing. If you're a free agent and you want to win a Stanley Cup, where's Winnipeg on the list of winning one?
Well, I think it might be
because listen to me. First of all, Florida's full. Tampa Bay's full.
Yeah.
Nashville can attract players. How did that go?
Well, not so good this year.
So there are options, right? You're not wrong in that. No, if people sit down and have to make a list in July, which is when they make the list.
Yeah.
But I think this is changing a little bit to the point of if I'm a top 6 player, if I'm a second line center, and I look at 5 or 6 options, Winnipeg is one of them because look at the team they have.
Yeah, Wilf, we got to go. We got to move on. Okay, go ahead. You have 10 seconds. You got 10 seconds.
I think these guys, once they do come, they might like it here, but you got to get them to come here, and their wives might like it. Like Wheeler's wife liked it when she was here. Wheeler's wife, okay, but.
Well, they become a family, right? And it's the players and the whole all the families that come here, they all become an even bigger family, right? Because listen, this is not New York. This is not Nashville. This is not Los Angeles. This is not Vegas. This is not Toronto. This is not Montreal. This is not Vancouver or any of those places. Not Chicago. It's you make of what it is. And Dale Hawerchuk talked about this. It's that you become so close to your teammates and the families of your teammates because you just become close-knit here. And I want everybody to go and watch that video on YouTube of Connor Hellebuyck and his teammates going out ice fishing. And that will tell you a lot about why people want to stay in Winnipeg. We got to move on. Thanks for the call, Wilf.
Wilf, I'm going to add one more point to this and to our listeners. Some spouses don't want to come here. The spouses with kids love coming here because the schools are good. They have each other. The city's is small and tiny. They don't have to worry about too much. I know we talk about crime and all that stuff like that. The single spouses don't because for 2 weeks in February, their spouse is gone and they sit here with not much to do. I get that. But spouses with kids love it here.
Yeah. Well, let's take one more caller. Let's bring Chris on. Chris, we got to be real quick here. We only got about 45 seconds.
Hey, guys. Hey, the Jets, we had our best year ever, and everyone's missing the top 2 reasons why we lost. Number 1, the politics between Canada and the States. That caused a lot of problems. Number 2, coaching. Hey, if you got a goalie that can't win on the road, what are we paying a second goalie for? We should have put Comrie, should have had a home goalie and an away goalie. Those are the top 2 reasons why we lost our playoff run.
Chris, how many teams run a away goalie and a home goalie? And especially when one of those goalies is Connor Hellebuyck. And believe me, he was not the problem in Game 6.
If you watch the handshake line between Dallas and Winnipeg, Pete DeBoer grabbed Scott O'Neill's arm and said, "Hey, you're the coach of the year. Great job."
Hey guys, we pay for 2 goalies. Why not use them?
Okay. And Chris, what is the policy? Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not putting any blame on Hellebuck at all.
I understand. I get your point.
So Chris, the league this year.
Chris, what did the politics have to do with the loss?
Well, just think about it a little bit. We got all this rhetoric between Canada and the United States, and
okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Chris. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Appreciate it.
204-780-6868. Let's take a break. Let's come back. More of your calls on the other side. And, Jim, do you know when the Jets will be picking in the first round of the NHL draft? Do you know their spot?
I actually don't.
I'll tell you when we come back.
With Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Well, we already got rid of Andy, won the Wash Method Car Wash down at 690 St. Anne's Road with a VIP call. Did you miss your chance to get on the show today? We got 2 callers lined up here, Ron and Harry. We'll get them on in just a second here. Call the Boston Pizza Jets at noon hotline. Open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Brought to you by Boston Pizza. Dig into the Triple Pep Pizza and the Double Trouble Nachos, available now only at Boston Pizza. Ron, you're on Jets at noon. What's up?
Hey, you guys would never win an argument with the warden I have at home because you take the bait 24/7. It's a hockey show, not a culture show.
Yeah, okay, fair enough, Ron. What's going on?
I have a couple of hockey things I'd like to talk about. Number one, I don't worry about signing my own free agents. We have a great history of doing so. I do worry about signing them all, though, and having them all age out at the same time. I'm completely comfortable moving on from Ehlers. People forget that your salary cap is as important as your draft equity. So basically, that money can be used in other ways to reshape the team. One question I had for you guys that I think is a really important question to be talked about this summer is our top 4 defensemen. We only have one that's under 29, and that would be Sandberg. And both Morrissey and DeMelo missed playoff games. And we just organizationally constantly try to put a square peg in a round hole, trying to pretend that Logan Stanley and Vali Heinola are NHL caliber players because they were drafted in the first round. And if I had one wish for this offseason, it would be that we move on from both of them and start developing something to come up, because our top 4 is getting older. And they're not overly large other than Sandberg to begin with. So I honestly believe we have to address that to help out Hellebuck a lot more.
So Morrissey and DeMelo's contracts all end in 28. So does Iafallo's, 31, Mark Scheifele, Neil Pionk, and Hellebuck. So those are key pieces that all age out at the same time. Neil Pionk is 20. So that's a fair point. Neil Pionk, he's not the biggest guy, but did you have a problem at all with how he played in the playoffs?
Of our top 3, I thought he was our best in the playoffs. Actually.
Yeah. So Morrissey's 30, Neil Pionk's 29, Dylan DeMelo's 32, Sandberg's 26.
We're getting older, though. We need a few younger guys that can contribute.
They're still going to be in their prime, though. I mean, Morrissey's at the end of his contract. He's going to be 33.
You're misunderstanding. I have nothing against our top 4. I don't want our 5-6 spots developmentally wasted during the season trying to showcase Heinola, trying to showcase Stanley. I think the time has come to rip the Band-Aid off. Just admit it. It's not the end of the world. They weren't like top 10 picks. Move on from them. Like Hayden Fleury was a 7th overall pick. He's actually a better hockey player, and he was sitting in the press box while we're trying to pretend we can make something of Heinola and make something of Stanley.
Okay, Ron, I appreciate the call. I got to get to Harry. Hey, Harry.
Thanks,
sorry,
Ron.
we only got about a couple seconds here for you. Harry, what's on your mind?
Well, I just want to say one thing is Scott Arniel should be the coach of the year. I think he's done a hell of a job with the Jets this year.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
And I think that with Hellebuck, like the dilemma that Maple Leafs have winning the 7th game, I think I'm hoping if we get in the playoffs next year that Hellebuck doesn't have the same problem winning on the road. Because I don't know what you can do to pay an a goalie $8 million, and he can't win on the road for you.
Yeah, Harry,
that's a great point.
They have to win on the road.
That's a great point. I think there's growth there too. Like I don't think he'll have a playoff like he did this year. I really don't. I think there was that was the growth I saw in the Dallas series.
Harry, I wish I had some more time for you, but we have to go. I wish I had a whole 2 minutes for you, but sorry, we just don't have it. Jim Toth will take you all the way till 2:00. Thank you very much, Jeffrey Fortier, for producing the show. Great job. See you tomorrow. Bye.